Hello, everybody. Just gonna let some people roll in and then we'll get things started. All right, we'll give it 3 more minutes to 2:05 and then we'll get things rocking and rolling for this webinar. Thanks to all of you guys that are here on time. As someone that's always 5 minutes late, I appreciate promptness in a way that I cannot uh, exemplify myself. I think we've just put a little poll up there for you guys too, if you don't mind filling that out. It was helpful info for us. All right, let's get cooking. About to hit that magical 2:05 number. We'll let people kind of continue to trickle in, but we'll get things rolling. So thank you for all of you guys that are here today, and for those of you that will watch this in the future, thanks for attending as well. We're excited to talk to you guys about merch today. Obviously, we have this big kind of holiday weekend special moment coming up, so we'll dive into strategies around that. We have some amazing panelists today, true legends in the game, which I'll have them introduce themselves to you here in just a moment. Um, on the Laylo side, we've powered over 1 billion in music sales, merch being a really critical part of that. And we have data from over 200 million fan actions that we're going to use to talk to you today, along with the expertise from our panelists about strategies that we see work best, some really cool like inspirations and case studies, some tips and tricks from our experts, and how to make the most out of your merch drops overall, and then how to make the most out of this upcoming Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. So with that, I am going to introduce or let our panelists introduce themselves to you. And I've asked each of our panelists just to provide one question, which is, what is your favorite piece of artist merch that you own? I'm currently wearing my most recent acquisition, which is a Sabrina Carpenter t-shirt I bought outside of Madison Square Garden because I am a sucker for bootleg merch and you can't keep me away from it. Sorry for any merch providers in the room that I love bootleg merch. With that, I'll start with Nicole on the Lalo side, and then we'll hand it over to our panelists to intro to themselves.
Thank you, Mayor. I am Nicole Pelicano. I'm the Director of Account Management here at Lalo, specializing in our pop and electronic acts. I will also highlight my most recent acquisition, which I can't wear bubblegum pink because I look 5 years old, but it's also a Sabrina shirt that I purchased with Meredith outside of Madison Square Garden. I think we scarred the poor man that was selling it, but it was a really great memory. And I will hand it over to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hooper. I'm a digital marketing manager here at MIC Management. I've been in the digital marketing world for about 7 years now, mostly in artist management, but I also have a little bit of experience in the label world. I would say my favorite piece of merch that I currently own is a fantastic office hoodie. It's a Guar hoodie. It's glow in the dark. It is like the coziest thing that I own, and everybody on Zoom calls when I'm wearing it is constantly like, "What is that pad? Like, what are those symbols?" And I'm like, "It's Guar. It's aliens. What are you talking about? Duh."
Awesome. And I'm McKay Campbell. I am the creative director at Merch Table, which is a full service merchandising company based in Kansas City, Missouri. I run our creative department over here, and what that really means is that I work hands on with all of our artists' teams and management teams for all of our clients to source products, get designs together, and make merch ideas come to life physically. I got my start in the artist management side, so I also have a ton of experience on the strategy side, helping artists inform large-scale merchandising strategy that feels like a natural extension of their artistic vision. And I am a total sucker for high quality blanks, so I'm very picky about the merch that I buy. But I recently got a Noah Khan hoodie that is on a made blank, which is like a Los Angeles based, super high quality hoodie that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I wear it like once a week for sure.
Awesome. So I think we can kind of dive in. Next slide, perhaps. Perfect. Awesome. So as we head into Black Friday and Cyber Monday, fans are in shopping mode and they're eager for connection, especially with their favorite artists. Amid all of the noise of e-commerce promotions, it's important for you guys to stand out. Let's take a look at a few stats that we're showcasing the moment that we're stepping into. First and foremost, the global merch market is set to become a $6.3 billion industry within the next 5 years, with super fans being nearly 2 times more likely than the average listener to purchase merch. Lastly, lead acquisition can increase by as much as 226% during this Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. So it's super important for everybody on this call to take advantage of this period, especially on Lalo, driving as many fans as possible into their Lalo list. And now that we've outlined the opportunity, let's dive into some examples. McKay, first question is for you. What are some creative ways you've seen artists engage with fans with merch strategy and design? Oh, you're on mute, I think.
Thank you so much. I keep forgetting to unmute myself, and I've got you on one little side here. So yeah, I mean, I think that the truest merch drop is going to come as an authentic and organic extension of that artistic vision. It needs to fit within the artist world, and it has to feel like it's coming from the artist. No manager, no merchandising company is going to be able to fabricate that for you. It has to come from you. And I think what is the most powerful is leaning into what the fans want, figuring out what they're asking for, finding your fans where they're at. For example, you know, I spent a long time on the management side working with a band called Lord Huron, who I absolutely adore, and I miss them dearly. But one of the things that was a huge focus for us on all fronts of strategy, but particularly on the merchandising front, was tapping into their existing Facebook fan group and reading those comments, getting in there. What are people asking for? What are they talking about? When people people are posting about merch? What are people saying about their merch? Do they like the quality? Do they like the designs? All of those things, finding your fans where they're already talking about you, and then using that to inform your product selection and your design can be a super powerful thing. There's an image up here, and it's of a hoodie. And this hoodie, it was an anniversary hoodie that Lord Huron did for their Strange Trails anniversary tour. And I will admit to you that this hoodie came out actually after I left the team. I was not part of making this hoodie, but what I was part of was setting the seeds for this hoodie to exist. This was years in the making, because what I noticed was that fans on their Facebook group were talking, oh my gosh, we would love a World Ender jacket. They were making their own and posting them and sharing them with each other, wearing them to concerts. What an opportunity for this band to create something that their fans want, but to do it in their own way. They got to control what this looks like. They got to make something special for their fans. And it felt like a gift to their fans. It was like, we know you want this. Here you go. And the holidays for me are the perfect opportunity to do that. It's all about gifting, right? So you have the whole year to put out the merchandise that you want. Use the holidays as an opportunity to give your fans the merch that they want, and they will reward you for it. Those super fans will show up for that. Um, the other example that I wanted to kind of mention was, Scoochie Boochie is another one that uses Lalo. It does the same thing. He actually involves his fans in the creative process. So where Lord Huron preferred to hold that creative process to themselves, Scoochie Boochie actually showcased the mocks that my design team sent him on his fan platforms and had his fans vote. What do you guys like? What do you want to see? They ended up saying, we want a bucket hat most of all. And we focused all of our efforts on just making the best bucket hat that his fans wanted to see instead of stretching it too thin, using what the fans are saying they want, and then tailoring that directly into the products we choose and the designs that we put out.
Amazing insight. Thank you, McKay. I love it. I also liked that. What WTF was cool. That was funny. With that, I think we're gonna start to get Sarah in here to just kind of get the management perspective. Sarah, you're a legend of the business. I would say you've worked in kind of like all different types of the music industry, and you like everybody knows you. It's really exciting to like get your take on all of this. So I wanted to hear in your current role on the management side, like, are you guys as Mick management thinking about merch in a unified way as a part of a broader artist strategy?
Definitely. I think, we always try to look at merch as an extension of the artist's world, right? I think this is very hand in hand with everything McKay was saying. Like, we're not looking to create merch just as something to sell. And I think one thing that we really try to emphasize at Mick is, these musicians, these artists are not a product. They do create products, but that's not what we're trying to shove at people on the internet, especially in a time, November, December, like when you're just getting bombarded with various ads, sales, emails, texts, everything all the time. What we really try to do is make every item in an artist merch store feel like it belongs in that universe. So it doesn't feel like it's getting shoved down an audience's throat. It's really like, oh, I'm so excited that Maggie Rogers is partnering with this incense company because I went to her show and saw her burning incense on the piano, and that made me feel like I was part of a small intimate show, even if you're in, Madison Square Garden. It's finding unique pieces of an artist's overall brand that makes a fan feel like they're taking home a little piece of that narrative. So maybe it's something like My Morning Jacket, who created a holiday line with a ski trail map on the back, just highlighting for fans like how connected they are to the outdoors and what's actually important in their lives outside of this kind of super creative, crazy music world.
Yeah, I love that. I think like you've actually kind of answered my question in line with this is like obviously you're talking about like connecting that back to the artist brand and having everything be really authentic. When you're talking about a rollout strategy or even like a cycle or even an off cycle, how are you thinking about merch incorporation kind of at what points in those phases?
Yeah, I think it's very much about meeting fans where they already are, like digitally, or honestly, I like emotionally to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like if an artist is off cycle, you know, you have devoted fans who are still listening no matter what. You have fans who are kind of in and out, and it's finding the storytelling and the timing to meet those fans where they are with unique pieces that pique their interest, but also don't make them feel like you're panicked for attention. Um, and so I think when it comes to like trying to come up with a rollout strategy, especially around Black Friday or Cyber Monday, it's less about what are we discounting and more like what's the moment that we're creating. Even
Yeah.
if it's, you know, something super simple like a limited edition t-shirt or like a bundle of something, how like that can feel super big if you're positioning it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And my next question, I guess, is kind of a combo, is like, how are you working with your merch partner, whether and McKay vice versa for you? Like when you're saying like, great, we're working with a specific merch partner, what does the collaboration process look like for you guys as you try to identify like what are the unique pieces we want to make? Like what do we think is really gonna stick? What do we think is gonna hit? Um, what do those kind of conversations look like?
Mm,
On my side, I think, you know, it all starts with letting the artist drive that conversation. I always like
yeah.
start my conversations about product development with like, what do you want to see? What do you think is going to resonate with your fans? And that can be a question to management. That can be a question directly to the artist. Sometimes it's a question to management, and I want them to go ask the artist. It kind of depends, you know, on the client situation. We do it always. But you know, what it really starts with is the artist knows their fans the best. They have the closest
Mhm.
connection to them. They are the most tapped into what their fans want to see. You know, there are other opportunities, like I said with Lord Huron, you know, tapping into those fan communities, but not every artist has a Facebook group of 15,000 people that they can tap into and read those comments. It's not realistic. But you do know your fans, like in your heart. I believe that about every artist that I've worked with. Like, they know their fans, and so trusting them to kind of lead those decisions. And then, of course, you know, a healthy dose of research and thinking outside of the box by myself and my creative team to say, hey, here are some things that we see work. Here are some things that we think would be cool for you to try. And then kind of like splicing those together. I like to show clients what they want to see. I like to show them what I think they should see. And then usually we find a nice happy medium, right? You know, after mocking a trillion things, we find our way to this nice, happy medium that feels the most, you know, authentic.
McKay, does
Yeah,
this
I would agree. I think it's, oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's very, very artist driven. It's
Mhm.
like in the conversations that I've had with clients about kind of what world they want to create. It's not only like what are my fans going to like what are we going to connect over? It's also what story am I telling on this album? What makes sense
Yeah.
as a band, and what brands can we collaborate with that really feel like they're adding to this story and this world
Yeah,
that we're building with each album.
I love that. I think that is a perfect kind of segue into our next little section here. I do want to ask you guys separately, like, what's the craziest merch item anyone's ever been like, we should make that. But you can think about that one. We can talk about it at the end, but that's
I
what
work
was just
with some comedians, so you might not want to ask that. We work with some crazy
there.
people.
I was gonna say I have again like my Guar sweatshirt. I worked with Guar. For those of
Yeah.
you who don't know, they are an artist collective. They dress up like aliens. They created a dildo based off of one of the characters
Amazing.
in
Very
their
spicy.
worlds, and
Uh-huh.
we had a lot of them like around our office because they were just hysterical. But that is
That's
probably the craziest merch item I've seen.
yeah, that's some spicy merch.
It
We won't
wasn't
be showing
it
that as
wasn't
part of our
labeled
sample.
a dildo, but it
Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
was partnered with, you know.
All right, great. With that, we'll move on to the next section here. Which is just to kind of talk about some of the levers that we see working really well, and we'll talk back to Sarah and McKay after this as well. But on the lay low side, what we see kind of work really well, or kind of the way to kind of construct a really ideal drop around merch, or specifically this upcoming weekend. I think as Sarah and McKay both mentioned, there's a lot that kind of goes into just getting merch out there in a way that it is an overwhelming time. The noise is really loud. Everybody's got discounts. Everybody has sales. So it's like, what are the things that are going to really stick and help your kind of campaigns rise above the din? So I wanted to cover in this part just the importance of three of those levers, one being price, the second being timing, and the third being scarcity. Um, Combining the three is kind of like your holy trinity there in terms of what's going to hit the most. I'll talk about a couple of different examples here on this slide. So you can see this first example with Dombreski. Dombreski was able to put together a 20% off merch. So just super simple discount, 20% off merch on this day, the whole store. So that's obviously like a tried and true nice strategy. You'll see here with the beaches, one of our like Lalo evangelist artists over here. They did a specific Black Friday Cyber Monday scale for that weekend and that weekend alone. So when we talk about timing, just obviously keeping it limited to a certain time when you've got fan attention and they know that things are happening. And then scarcity. So you can see this Teletech example here below. They did a 1 day only merch drop just this past month on Halloween, so different time period. But it was 24 hours only, Halloween sale. The merch flew off the shelves. So it was a super successful drop, and I think just leaning into that, like you have this very limited window to do so, or else it's gone, can also be a really effective tactic. So ultimately here, obviously, we think like these are the three kind of most important levers, and then combining them all for an example launch on like Black Friday, Cyber Monday would be something like we have a 50% off sale. It lasts 24 hours. There are only 50 shirts available. So those are kind of the things that we want you guys thinking about as you start to construct your campaigns and start to think about like what things are really going to hit and what things are going to register, in addition to everything that Sarah and McKay were just talking about authenticity, uniqueness of the pieces. McKay, question for you. How do you recommend in like a weekend like this artists balance discounting or kind of the pricing thing while maintaining the brand value? So things feel limited but not distressed, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. My first kind of mantra is always that, discounting is super fan friendly. So when we're talking about giving fans what they want, using the holiday season as a time to like really attract fans with things that are like very fan friendly. Offering discounts on existing stuff is my favorite way to do it. But I think, one thing is as you talk about scarcity, scarcity exclusivity is a key, targeting those super fans with exclusive discounts and using Lalo as a way to identify who those super fans are, and then pivoting that into, strategy around discounting or dropping new items in order to kind of tap into your key fan base without, blowing out a sale for everything is one way that I see a lot of artists doing it. And, that goes into discounts. It also goes into new products. We work with a band called Bright Eyes who are amazing, and they did a campaign recently where I should back up a little bit. Last year around Christmas time, we launched these jackets that you see on the screen in front of you. A really nice chore jacket on like a super nice AS color blank. It was embroidered in the front. It had, a couple of locations of just like little details, super wearable, just a piece that was really popular with fans. And it sold out so quickly. And we didn't bring it back for a while until this year. And then the band said, we want to bring this back. We've gotten a ton of requests for it. And what we want to do is we want to offer it through our Lalo list. So we were able to set up a private page for their Lalo and use that to kind of like drive this directly to their key fans, the most engaged fans, and give them something that they had been asking for in a way that also lets the band, collect that data, control where those people are coming from and tap into their fans, where they're already at on their text messaging platforms. So that was a really great one. I think there are a million ways to do it, but I think just like tapping into your core fans around the holidays is a great way to kind of like emphasize that brand value to them.
Yeah, I really like that point of using kind of the exclusivity nature of it as a fan reward. I know Nicole will talk about this in a moment, ways we can kind of help you guys do that with Lalo itself. But I like that tactic overall of just rewarding fans with an exclusive offer rather than just putting one out there into the world. Same kind of question to you, Sarah. Like, do you guys think about like how are you thinking about maintaining credibility for your artists and the pieces you've put so much thought and time into while you're also running kind of discounts and promotional periods, especially like during a weekend that can get really saturated.
Yeah, I think one thing we do is we rarely discount the music because that first and foremost, like that is our artist's baby, right? So you really want to protect the integrity of that. I think what we try to do to maintain credibility is really anchor holiday promos around new or limited edition product drops. And then also really being careful with verbiage, right? So not being like sale, 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 or everything must go. It's really um, altering that language so that fans still feel like we're not just trying to offload onto them. They're feeling like, oh, maybe there's a new era coming, or like gift yourself and gift your friend. Like maybe it's a buy one get one style of promo, so that you really feel like, oh my gosh, this concert that I went to with my best friend, we can get matching T-shirts, and it'll be a fun little thing that we can celebrate together. Um, I think it's very easy to make fans feel like you're just again trying to offload product onto them. So what we really try to do is with that limited edition drop, we'll add the bundle or we'll add that discount as sort of an incentive. But the main driver is still that like limited, interesting new drop that makes fans go, oh, plus there's a sale. Great. I want both.
I think that's the perfect lead also to Nicole, who will take you through some of our playbook and strategies from Lalo specifically.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, McKay and Sarah. Both your responses were awesome. So on the account management side, kind of what I focus on is putting together playbooks like this that will help our customers to make the most of these pivotal moments throughout the year. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday is the perfect opportunity to roll out a drop. What we have seen work well is teasing out a drop where you're not necessarily saying what the offer is, but hinting that something is coming, a few weeks before. So a little bit, I think after this, we'll have a fleshed out calendar for you. Our team will also drop the link to this playbook in the chat. But for the next 2 weeks, you're really teasing out this big offer that's still to come and getting fans really excited, touching on what Meredith was saying before, but scarcity and FOMO and making it fans feel like they absolutely cannot miss out on this opportunity. So the stats we were saying before, 200% growth year over year. We're going to see a bunch of fans opt in for this drop because they're curious about what this drop is. And then we're ultimately going to drive sales. So using drops, using upsell links, so rerouting to something like a merch store, or if you're on tour, putting a tour link in that upsell link, and all the while using the various other Lalo features like Instagram DM, Instagram comments. You could still be collecting Spotify and Apple Music pre-saves throughout this process. So really just taking advantage of all that Lalo has to offer during these big moments where you're promoting different initiatives that you're working on, like this merch drop, while still getting to the bottom line, which is driving your merch sales, collecting pre-saves, and growing your fan list. So with that, Sarah, question for you. How do you typically start prepping fans or teasing drops before something like a merch drop?
I would say we tease early and we launch big. So it's really trying to promote and tease fans like 1 to 2 weeks in advance. I think if you try to go too early, you're going to lose interest. But there's that sweet spot of about like 7 to 10 days prior when things are starting to pick up for everybody. You want to really hit that like, oh, we're on high alert for my favorite artists are going to launch a sale or going to launch something. But then that like early tease allows for another reminder or however many you'd like to do before Black Friday. And then you can extend that all the way through Giving Tuesday, Cyber Monday for maximum visibility and momentum, right? So it's teasing it at that really perfect sweet spot, 7 to 10 days, giving fans that like itch to look back, and then giving them small reminders throughout the next 10-day period that this sale is happening, that this limited edition product is here, that, you know, your artist is still kind of offering, I don't want to say breadcrumbs, but for lack of a better word, those, we're kind of breadcrumbing them along, right? It's just keeping your artist, your client at the forefront of your audience's mind.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes complete sense. So jumping off of your 10-day mark, let's jump into the proposed drop schedule that we have in our playbook. So pretty spot on now. A little bit longer lead time than what you're saying, but I think 7 to 10 days truly is the sweet spot. So from now until that week of Thanksgiving, teasing your dropout on social, updating your link in bio, using our Linktree integration, which Meredith will get to in a moment, sending a message out to your existing list, again, mentioning that this offer is coming, something big is coming. Doing that last minute push right before Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday or Black Friday. And then your drop day messages going out on Black Friday with that follow-up nudge Cyber Monday and Giving Tuesday. So aligned with a lot of what Sarah said, and just keeping fans engaged and excited about what is to come. This is a nice segue into the various merch storefronts that we work with, one of which being Merch Table. So a follow-up question for McKay. How does Merch Table recommend that artists set up their merch storefronts for the best fan experience and driving the highest conversions?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of ways that we do this. I would say, you know, one of those is just the branding of the store, keeping it cohesive with either the artist branding or the specific branding of the collection, the album cycle that you're in, you know, whatever it is that you are, you know, wanting to promote with this collection. We're talking about moments. We're talking about creating, you know, this moment for why this drop, why these products, why now. Having your merch store branding and having the way your merch store looks reflect that vision can go a long way to making fans feel engaged, making it feel special. You know, for some artists, even we talk about, oh, is this artist in a new era? You know, I will often recommend that for the holidays, our artists consider doing a little store rebrand just for the holidays. We can set it back at the new year, but when fans open this page, make it feel fresh, make them feel excited, make them feel engaged. Maybe they're speculating what's going on. Oh, this is so cool. It might just be a holidays thing, but they're talking and they're excited. It doesn't have to be a signifier of something more, but you can play with that a little bit. You know, a couple of other things that we like to do are just, you know, being really intentional with the products that you're highlighting on your main page, both making sure that you're highlighting new things that you want people to see, but also those key sellers. Because when people are coming to your page, it might be their first time ever coming to your e-commerce store. You have no idea. I think a lot of artists assume, oh, that's old, it's passe, and they want to clear that from their homepage. But the reality is, you hope to target more people than you did with your last drop. So inherently, some of those people are going to be new and they might like your bestseller tee better than anything that's new. And putting that first and front on your drops can really help boost that revenue. And then the last thing, you know, simple things, keeping the clicks low to get to that purchase, you know, not making the layout so kind of convoluted that people are having to click more than 4 times in order to get to that purchase link. And then integrating your e-commerce platform with other channels that your fans are shopping through, whether that's Spotify or YouTube. You know, where are they connecting with you and how can you reach them there with your merchandising too? Having your products showcased on Spotify pages, YouTube pages, Instagram shops are all things that we at Merch Table love to do because it's just more opportunities for fans to find your merch where they're already reaching you.
Amazing. Well, I'll hand it over to Meredith to chat through some creative ways to market merch drops.
let's get into it. If you could, yeah, pop up that slide, that would be great. So you guys know I like to just like highlight the artists that use Layla and are doing it in some of the most creative ways. I think again, Sarah and McKay have just really kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of what is authentic to your artist will feel authentic to their fans. And we are lucky enough to work with some of the world's biggest artists across all of these things and get to see some of this creativity in practice, not only from our panelists, clients, and partners here, but some other ones. So I just wanted to take you guys through a couple of interesting ones here on our side that we really kind of love to showcase. The first one being Freddie Gibbs here. Freddie, one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. He actually just put his Laylo phone number on his merch, and he sells that directly on his site. So all of his fans become walking billboards for him. They can all opt in to get messages from Freddie just by seeing that number on their shirts. So yeah, one of my favorite ones there is Hotline right on the t-shirt itself. Um, I'll move on next to Lake Street Dive. Lake Street Dive, another one of our clients that really the team thinks super outside of the box. If you joined our webinar on voicemail campaigns, you would also see like some of the really cool ways they're doing grassroots marketing. And here they've leveraged our collabs feature in a way that is really creative for the merch. So they recently did a collaboration with Lawrence, another really great band. They released a joint EP together. They went on tour together, and now they have collaborative merch. So just like a really beautiful way to kind of showcase the strength of a partnership, not only through a live event, but through the actual merch itself. And then this one is just wild and we love it. So we have Of the Trees here. He threw a festival in Telluride and teased it. And if you, we'll send this as a deck and you guys can kind of zoom in. But on these bands is actually the coordinates for the festival, along with tips for fans to look closer at his pants. And that is the way that he announced his festival, Camp Alderwild, which is a 2-day headlining festival in Colorado. So just another like really creative kind of out of the box example to have a wearable turn into its own sort of like Easter egg and promotion itself. Um, Next, we're gonna just talk to Sarah kind of specifically about some of what you guys are doing at MIC. Obviously, I bug you guys a lot. You guys are really creative around tours, around all sorts of strategy, like from Maggie Rogers showing up in person at box offices to My Morning Jackets festival. Like you guys are really just leading the pack a lot in some of the way that you think about strategy being really, really authentic to the artists that you work with and being really unique. So I wanted to first talk about one of my favorite artists on your roster, Alessi Rose. We'll also talk about Eggy and Jake Minch, but let's start with Alessi because she's doing a real in-person London pop-up this week around merch. So I would love to know how you decided kind of the format and city for that merch activation or anything else you want to share about it would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for saying all that. That's very nice. I will tell my digital counterpart as well because she will really greatly appreciate that. It's been a really busy year, so we've had a lot of fun with different digital activations. For this specific one with Alessi, what has been so great about watching her develop over the last couple of years is we have been on Laylo with her like since the get-go, right? So we have just been accumulating data on her fan base for a really long time. And right now we have about 70K fans on Laylo, which is really a super high conversion when looking at her, Instagram followers, TikTok followers. So we're super happy with where we are and all the data that we can collect and turn into marketing campaigns via Laylo. Um, to be super transparent, part of the reason that we decided on London for this pop-up is just because physically that is where she was at the time when we wanted to plan this. It is also true that right now London is the hub of her fan base, so it's perfectly convenient that that was just how it lined up. And that is information that we were able to collect via Laylo. Like, we know that her most active fans are still very much based in the UK. I think if we had seen that Los Angeles, for example, was just like absolutely spiking, we would have probably arranged it to the best of our abilities a week prior when she was just opening on the Tate McRae tour, and she finished up in LA last week. So we might have tried to pivot and have that whole merch drop there, but it just worked out. London right now is still her key fan base, and Laylo gave us that information, and convenient, she was located there at the time. So this Saturday, she is doing a merch pop-up in London, just in like a small shop that we've kind of like taken over. It's going to be exclusive merch that's only available at that pop-up. It will not be online later unless, you know, people get crazy and start going on eBay like they're doing with that crazy Starbucks bear cup. Um,
That is a crazy bear
Ideally,
cup. Yeah.
that's a listen, Starbucks, their marketing with that. I'm impressed. But yeah, so Alessi, we're having this really fun little line of super exclusive merch. The whole setup of the store is actually done by the same team who did all of the creative on her tour. So it's very much like an immersive experience that really lines up with her tour. Like, it still feels very much part of the world that she has created for her fans with this EP and now the deluxe EP. Um, this is the first time that we've actually done any kind of pop-up like this, so we're super excited. And one of our main goals was to keep it super high traffic and not really gatekeep it that much.
Yeah.
So it felt very natural for us to use Laylo as a mechanic for this, and to run it through. Like, anyone can turn up to this event. It's not necessarily a guest list situation. Again, main goal is really just foot traffic, but we did want a data capture aspect to
Yeah.
gauge numbers to kind of create an idea of what kind of demand are we looking at here. So by using Laylo, since we have such a community there, we were able to really get an idea of who's going to show up, how are fans talking about this. And the other thing that was really important to not just us as a team, but Alessi as an artist, is she has been building the drops from day one. Like, we will send messaging, reminder messaging, but the drops are almost 100% of the time coming from Alessi herself. And I
Cool.
know that that is tricky in terms of like every artist is going to be different in their involvement. But one thing that I think is true across the board is your super fans, they know, they are locked in on that artist voice. They know when it's direct from the source and when it's me behind the scenes trying to be her. So what was really great about the response to this drop is fans knew that this was coming directly from Alessi. She could hint that she's going to be there, and ideally fans show up, and if you get to be there at the right time, you're going to see Alessi and she's going to take photos, and it's going to be this really whole immersive experience.
Awesome. Let's talk about Eggy.
Mhm.
This has been so awesome. We're just like running out of time. So I'm gonna kind of zip through some of the rest
Oh
of it.
yeah,
But
I
obviously,
will go
like,
quick.
yeah,
I'm a chatterbox, I'm sorry.
in no, we all are. This is great. So with Eggy, obviously, jam band culture, like, community is everything,
Mhm.
creating that, making people feel really kind of part of a family. I would love to hear about like how Eggy is engaging with their fan base, with merch and physical items here.
Yeah, they are awesome. I love working with them because they are super engaged, they're super tuned in, and they really understand the jam band community in a way that feels super exciting. They really like to create like collectible moments. They have a whole website that's kind of their fan site, but it's dedicated to fans uploading their set lists that they've seen. And you have a whole messaging board about, oh my God, did you see them jam to this song? I saw them play that on this date. Did you see them play that at this date? And at each show, it really cultivates this environment of fan communication, and how they've kind of manifested that over into physical products is by creating, you know, individual city posters, or doing exclusive merch drops to their email list first, and then having fans like take photos and tag them who got this one of 75 sweatshirt drop. And then one thing that we're doing for the holidays is a pin drop, and there are 5 different variations of this pin, and it's going to be like an 8 crazy nights theme.
Love it.
And so for every day or every other day, they'll be dropping a limited edition color batch of this same pin, and fans are going to be able to kind of get that pin. I mean, I think there's one of 50, and it's just going to create this one frenzy, which we love, but also fan conversation of, oh, you got the purple pin, I got the yellow pin. Should I wait and see? Should I order the next? Should I order all 5? Who knows? So it creates a really great conversation amongst the jam band community because it's so focused on that fan connection and how many shows have you been to? How many pins do you have? And which limited edition drops did you
Yeah.
get to be a part of?
It's like it brings me back to collecting Girl Scout badges. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the final example that I wanted to talk you through is Jake Minch doing a
Mhm.
run club. So like obviously when we kind of parlay this idea of community into not only like bringing people together in like a physical way with a physical activity, but also building kind of like merch that highlights that. I would love to hear about that a little bit as someone that is trying to get myself to run more.
Yeah, so it was really fun. Jake has s- gotten into running in the past year, and at first it was very much like a solo thing, and then I think he started to realize that people were responding well to when he would post stories about his run loops or what he was listening to, and we had a really great meeting with Strava where we said this feels like kismet. This is perfect. So we set up the Jake Minch Run Club, and fans have flocked to it. We're really excited about it, and we are currently working on how do we make a merch drop centered around this run club so that these fans feel really special, and feel super close to Jake. So we have concocted a few plans to do listening parties at different coffee shops around various cities because run clubs, we love to congregate for coffee after, and the goal here is to create, similar to like Diplo's Run Club, desirable merch that you see people wearing. And your first question is, where did you get that? And then you
Yeah,
see, like, what is Jake Minch's Run Club? And how are we integrating the music and this new deluxe version of the album that came out? Are we putting song lyrics? Are we um, putting some kind of allusion to the record? Jake really loves to doodle. And so putting those doodles on various parts of the album campaign, whether it's merch, whether it's Easter eggs on socials, like his fans recognize those doodles and they go straight to it and they say, I know that music. And
I
so
love
we're
it.
trying to kind of create merch that's, both special to his Run Club fans, but also still feels authentic to him as a musician.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. Nicole, I wanted to punt it over to you to talk about like one really cool example we saw over here at Laylo coming up too. And then we'll get into, just so you guys know, still here, we'll get into just some of our integrations and tools in Laylo, and then we'll hand it over to Q&A. So we want to make sure you guys have some time to ask our panelists some questions.
I'll try to go through this one really quick, but it is one of the coolest drops that we have done this year, but also ever at Lilo. So Zach Brown Band is doing a residency at the Sphere, and ahead of that announcement, they actually leveraged a merch drop to build their list ahead of the announcement. So they kind of gated fans with a 15% off merch store drop to get a bunch of fans in the door. Ultimately, it helped grow their list to 250,000 tagged merch buyers using our enriched segments and our enriched insights. Or late once they made the announcement, they ended up utilizing that entire list to make this really, really exciting thing come to life. They actually ended up sending out a message earlier this year to this enriched segment of merch buyers that generated over $20,000 worth of revenue, which we know via our Shopify integration. So I will hand it over to Meredith to chat through what our Shopify integration means. You're on mute.
sure am. I sure am on mute. Okay, great. Yeah, I want to talk about our Shopify integration, our merch table integration as well. So, one of the most powerful ways I think at Lalo that we help amplify your drops and your fan community is through our network of integrations. Merch specifically, our integrations with Shopify and merch table allow you to not only sync the data automatically, so you're able to see what fans on your Lalo list specifically, what items they've purchased, how much money they've spent, what drops they've converted on. So you're able to collect all of that data under one roof in your backend through those integrations, just giving you more insights as to your fans and the activity that they're displaying and how they're kind of playing into your ecosystem, what pieces of merch they're responding to, and again, kind of their overall investment. Ultimately, integrations, I think a lot of you guys have seen, are really one of our key priorities here at Lalo. And the more integrations that you have connected, the more powerful your data becomes and the bigger, kind of more holistic picture you have of your fan base. You can see here, this is actually new, this little timeline guy here that you see on the right. We just launched updates to our fan activity tab this week. As you guys know, I think our dev team is just prolific at rolling out updates all the time. And this is a really awesome one, in my opinion. So you can see in that fan activity tab, specifically engagement on events, whether they clicked a link and then purchased. All of this lives right now in your Lalo backend. So you can really get into what it looks like for fans to purchase items, to take actions within your backend. And apply that to your strategy around segmentation and how you're talking to fans and understanding of kind of what's hitting, what might be missing. So basically with Merch Table and Shopify, really simple in the back end. You'll see the icons for both. If you're using either, you can simply click on that. That data will sync automatically. So my very strong, very loud recommendation is if you're using Shopify or Merch Table for any of your artists, make sure that that's connected immediately. You'll also be able to tether the value of every message you send to how much money you've made in merch through those integrations. So there's really a lot for you to gain from those integrations. They don't cost any money. They're free for you to do. So no brainer, in my opinion. Through like our enrichment also, our AI enrichment, we're able to analyze all of the behavior across all of our millions of fans on the platform and let you know who in your list we think has shown the propensity to buy merchandise, buy tickets, etc. Based on that data, we're able to pull in through those integrations. So you can use that enriched segment as well as identifying your most likely merch buyers as a way to potentially target them and segment them by that, along with some of the tactics that both McKay and Sarah mentioned about identifying your most engaged fans or fans that have taken certain actions. We're going to actually jump next to our promo and Q&A, given we've only got about 5 minutes left. So let's jump over to that. Sorry, I'm talking at rapid speed now. So as a thank you for all of you guys participating and watching, we're happy to announce that we have a special offer for you guys. This will be currently available from right now until November 30th. So 25% off any Lalo Pro annual account and an additional 25,000 bonus messaging credits for you if you're signing up for a new artist. Additional 10,000 messaging credits if you connect any integration, including Merch Table, through November 30th. So available to all of our attendees and watchers for this. With that, you can see contact Lalo. Yeah, you got the info there about how to get access to it. With that, let's turn over to Q&A. So we've got a couple of minutes to have our brilliant panelists answer some of these questions. Nicole, do you want to just go? Yeah, cool.
So I'd say this one's for McKay. McKay, are you forecasting Black Friday, Cyber Monday merch production volumes up front, or is that something that you're producing on demand mainly?
It depends on the artist. It depends on the fan base, to be honest. We've seen a huge rise in requests for on-demand printing these days. And it works amazing for some artists. For other artists, I don't think it works as well. And you know, one of the things that it kind of comes down to, not to get too nitty gritty into the weeds of like production, I work in a warehouse and I'm a little nerdy about like how merch is made. But on-demand printing is not screen printing. It's a digital print. It has a different feel to the print. It has a different look and feel to the product. So at the end of the day, on the creative side, what I'm recommending to clients is like go with your gut on how the product looks and feels and let the strategy follow that. Now, I will say, you know, when we're talking about forecasting versus, you know, a lot of our artists will like to run a pre-order, gauge demand for an item before we put in an order for production. There are a lot of ways to do this. But you know, what we're really thinking about is the product at the end of the day and also those holiday shipping times. That's one of the number one conversations we face at this time of year is, you know, when are things going to get into the hands of fans? No fan wants to wait a month, 2 months for their merch. And you know, around this time of year, a lot of people are wanting to use holiday gifts. So if the priority for our client is to make sure that their fans are absolutely going to have something for the holidays to gift to a family member, to a friend, or to themselves, Frank, I buy myself a Christmas present every year. So there's no wrong way to do it. But I think, you know, we're thinking about what are those products and when do we want them to land, and then using that to kind of project our strategy when it comes to production.
Amazing. I just buy myself presents basically every day, and that's called having a shopping addiction. So maybe I should just
Well,
move.
if you want me to buy them some parking lot merch, I'm happy to do it.
Perfect. Sarah, this one is for you. When thinking about how to market merch to people, the biggest channels that come to mind are socials, fan CRMs like Laylo, maybe Discord and Spotify for artists. Are there any other channels that you find effective to get merch specifically directly to fans?
Um, I would say, I mean, fan clubs are always a really great option, but again, that's kind of band or artist specific. I think we specifically on our roster have fans who are very, very dedicated. So they do want to sign up for fan clubs and they want that like extra ease of communication. I think honestly, like that I mean, we did do a fun thing, but it was based honestly in CRM where fans they, you know, submitted their address to camp. And 5 lucky winners, I believe, got like a piece of exclusive merch, a bundle of flowers delivered to their door. So again, that's their CRM. So, you know, I think when it comes down to it, socials and CRM and SMS platforms are really the way to go in this current digital landscape. I mean, I love a pop-up, but again, it's really through CRM and SMS. It's really getting your fans' attention through those digital avenues.
Amazing. Another one that I'm not sure if this would go to Sarah or McKay, maybe McKay. This question is any tips for catering the Lalo drop messaging for gifting merch that is custom printed on demand? I've been experimenting with 3D printed merch that is custom built with fan names, color combos, serial numbers, and NFC chips to music vaults. Any takers?
That is a very interesting question. Uh, I mean, I think, hmm, I feel like I need to like marinate on that. I need to noodle.
I think on
I
the Lalo drop side, maybe like on the messaging side, just leaning into the fact that this is all going to be custom once in a lifetime. You do have the ability to send one-off messages on Lalo, so having a one-to-one message with a fan about this, that could lend itself to more of that back and forth dialogue to get the information that you need to print this. But I'd leave the marketing to the professionals in the room.
Yeah, I think I would use really specific and exciting verbiage. I think, you know, having really specific wording about what this product is important, but it's also important not to get it too too wordy. It would I think a big part of marketing this would be finding your buzzwords that are going to get people's attention and get them to maybe ask a follow-up question in that one-to-one messaging system that you can do. I also think, you know, making your graphics eye-catching, but then like not as generic as, you know, your face here or your text here, like giving people examples, but then really using those buzzwords to say this is super unique, once in a lifetime merch that I'm creating for you. Like you tell me what you want and I'm making it for you.
And jumping off that, you know, keeping that kind of initial messaging really clear, like Sarah said. And then I would recommend focusing the majority of the description about what this is, what's customizable, and what people are really getting to that product page. That product description is where people are going to be making their decision about whether they want to purchase this or not. So focusing that information about how special this is, what, you know, what the specifics are about that, really on that product page to showcase it will hopefully give you an opportunity to kind of capture that person while keeping the initial messaging, their reason to sign up for that Lilo drop, their reason to, you know, get interested in the first place, really clear and simple without bogging it down with too much of that product description.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much.
Yeah,
That
thank you guys so much. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you to our guests for attending. We appreciate everyone's time. We hope you can take advantage of the strategy and tactics and tips that you heard today, along with our little special offer. So thank you guys so much again. We appreciate you guys, and go get buying some merch out there. In a parking lot or not, your call.
Thanks,
Alright.
everyone.
Ready.
Bye. Thank you.